we call the Twilight Zone.
Steve Kerr, and you look at Steph and Clay, and even Draymond with his lack of performance.
He's in 2 in a row, 7 points for him. The twirling Doncic, melting into the defense. The punt there, strikes. Swing, fly ball, well hit left center. Ronald Acuna is home. Rookie rushing record for the Steelers.
Look, he came into this game averaging 3.67 yards per carry. 42nd out of 49 qualified rushers.
Freeze to begin the third quarter. It has been incredible. Here he comes again. Oh, goodness. And the Greek basketball god. And he was a great guy that teaches the
What is up, Rally Town fan? Welcome to the show, baby. The original members of the Rally Towel crew right here.
All right.
There you are. You good there?
Dude,
Did the
like the
earphones. So Todd's trying out some new equipment tonight, chat. He just got a new mic. So let us know how he sounds. And then
yeah.
go from there. Oh God.
Yeah.
So seductive.
The stream started and I was like, oh shit, I can't hear the stream. And then I checked the audio and it said that it was done. It was fun while it lasted. Rest in peace for 35 seconds of the corded headphones and this new mic. But yes, please let me know how I sound.
Tell Todd he sucks and sounds trash. You know what, Ryan? That is exactly the type of energy we need here tonight. No, I'm just kidding. Now, welcome to the show.
No, so this is a not on the market yet microphone, right? This is a USB microphone, brand new. Is not saleable at any stores yet. It is only .com on Audio Technica's website. Perks of working for a technology company. I need real feedback because the buyer that I work with for these wants to know if it's worth selling them or not. So
Sure.
I need to know if these things are good. Also, bourbon. Just a little bourbon.
Cheers.
Just a little bourbon. Just
Rum
just
and
to
diets in the cup over here.
just to see how it feels.
Chad, it is Labor Day weekend coming up. So poll tonight is if you guys got plans, let us know what you're doing. We love you too, Ryan. Yeah, if you got plans, let us know if you're doing. If you're chilling, great. But just type in the chat, let us know. It's kind of town hall tonight as well. So if you have anything you want us to talk about, let us know. We've got a couple of topics we're going to discuss. Obviously, some big news in the NFL world and in the NBA world. So we're definitely going to touch a couple of those topics. We got college football kicking off today that we'll get into as well. The Vols are scoring 80 tonight, according to Mr. Carpenter. Bet the line on it, and we'll go from there. But Todd, how are we doing today?
Dude, I'm excited to be on here. I took a breather this week to just go one night, and I missed it last night. It was a great podcast last night with Greg. He's a super funny dude.
Yes, I enjoyed being on there with him.
Yeah, I enjoyed his very dry and dry sense of humor and quick wit. I thought that he fit right into the 21st century stand-up comedian genre.
Right.
I appreciated his openness to sexuality as well. I thought it was really cool for him to jump on here and just talk about anything and everything. I think it takes a lot of courage to be able to speak your own piece and speak freely of yourself. So
yeah, I don't know if you heard, but he's going to be in the Columbus area around February.
I did.
Okay,
yeah.
So we'll have to go check the show out.
I know it's so the festival that he's going to be at, it's like 5 minutes from here. So
sick.
Yeah, it's like 2 miles away. Worst case scenario,
perfect.
We just have to walk home. I don't know.
Yeah, catch an Uber, call it a day.
No, I'm super excited. I mean, let's just call it what it is. Football's back. It's 110% back. Tonight starts the cap. It is college football season. It is NFL football season. I went from 6 to midnight at 7:30 when the Mountaineers started the game against the Pittsburgh Panthers. It was very exciting to be able to
see
look
live
at my
football
phone.
that actually matters.
Yes. Yes. It is beautiful to see live football on. It's the season of TV trials, right? I mean,
Absolutely. You're signing up for 46 emails so you can watch everything.
Yeah, I figured I'm going to run through them all first, and then let Mary take her run through all of them second, and then Arla will have an email address by like week 11 or 12 of the season, and then we're good to go. It's all done.
Yeah.
So I'll be able to watch plenty of college football thanks to Fubo, YouTube, and Hulu. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Well, chat, let's get into it. We'll start in the realms of the NFL. Some big news came out of Denver. Maybe it's just Greg being on the show last night, but Denver was a hot spot for news today. With Russell Wilson getting an absolutely, massive contract for his age, and it's kind of going to set the bar moving forward for these quarterbacks that are in contract years, i.e. Lamar Jackson and such. So, Todd, give us the details of the contract and your initial thoughts.
So, looking at the contract itself, and again, this is an extension of his current contract, but it is 5 years. It's a 5-year, $245 million contract extension that includes a $50 million signing bonus, $161 million of it guaranteed. Jeff, college football is back. His nipples are harder than a virgin on prom night. Let's go.
You're here, baby.
That is the most eloquent and beautiful way to talk about how excited you are about college football. I love it. I love it.
Better myself, sir.
So,
sorry, we're just making another rum and diet real quick. Don't mind me.
Damn, you already popped off that first one, buddy.
Yeah, it kind of went down real good.
Jesus, Murphy. All right. So he said, Jeff said Mike Brown's going to have to file bankruptcy after signing Joe and Chase. Ridiculous. I'm actually going to get to that. I'm going to get to why the signing of Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase can now exist. And it is partially in thanks to Russell Wilson in this contract that he just signed. Because I know everybody that has a young quarterback, once Deshaun Watson got his contract, was like, holy shit. Yep. Now it's gonna be the same as wide receivers.
It's a freaking free for all.
Corey, what's up, buddy? Hope your fantasy football draft is going good tonight.
Oh yeah, him and Aaron are fucking going toe to toe right now. They were talking about it after the podcast last night. How they were just measuring dicks. They're like, oh, I did 6 mock drafts. I did 7 mock drafts. Who you get a take? Who you get a take? I was just sitting here just watching it go back and forth, and I was just like, this is great. This could be a fucking podcast right here.
I just imagine right now. So Corey said it starts at 9. So for the next 20 minutes, it's just Aaron and Corey looking at each other on a FaceTime, just stroking it, talking about fantasy football. 9 o'clock hits. Poof!
Fuck you.
Whole world changes.
Piece of shit. Corey did 4 mock drafts today. Okay, so how many total is that? And my mock draft was way bigger. I'm sure it was.
Been there a bunch of times. So,
all right, let's get back to Russell.
So, Danger Russ gets the $245 million extension, 161 guaranteed. Aaron coming in immediately.
Shots fired.
I love it. Corey sucks at fantasy. And his mock draft is way bigger. Let's go. These boys are.
You guys are gonna have to post on either Twitter or Facebook or both your teams after you draft them this evening. I do want to see that. So,
let's make it a poll. Draft. Okay.
Oh, we're taking a poll. Who's gonna draft better, Corey or Aaron?
No, I'm saying let's do the poll. So they both draft tonight. Screenshot it. Post a poll. Who's got the better draft? Who had the better draft? Because they're in the same league, right?
Yeah, you guys got to do that. You guys got to do that 100%.
I think it would be great.
Do that. Just come up with ideas on the spot. All right, back to it.
Thank you. Yes. So, Danger Russ gets a $245 million contract, 161 guaranteed, $50 million signing bonus. So, for me as a Bengals fan, and if you're a Jaguars fan or a Chargers fan or a Ravens fan, even there's not very many of those in this podcast. But if you are one, sorry, but you don't have to stress out about the amount of money that is going to be eaten up by a guaranteed NFL or a quarterback contract, right? This to me solidifies that the quarterback market isn't out of control, right? It's not this thing where now, a guy like, say, Joe Burrow, for example, he continues to progress well through year 3. And the Bengals say, well, after year 4, we'll figure out the extension. And then Joe Burrow says, all right, I want $275 million all guaranteed. Now, not to say that there won't be a quarterback that says that, right? I mean, you have a guy like Lamar Jackson, who's an MVP, who has good legs to stand on, similar to Joe Burrow, right? Joe Burrow takes the Bengals to a Super Bowl, Lamar Jackson being an MVP. Those negotiations are a little bit into their favor. But if you're a guy like Trevor Lawrence, who is still kind of on the do or die in Jacksonville because they're going to be rebuilding for the next 3 years anyway, you don't have to, if you're a Jacksonville fan, you don't have to think like, oh shit, we're going to have to give him $225 million, right? So I like the contract for the simple fact that it's still going to continue having some freed up money for other pieces of the pie, i.e. T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, whomever the Bengals draft in the first round over the next couple of years, if it is somebody to kind of supplement Tyler Boyd, probably making a departure in the next couple of years, or whomever it may be, right? I mean, they could be drafting the left tackle of the future next year. We have no idea what's going to happen yet, but I think it eases me a little bit to see a guy like Russell Wilson, who, when you look at him over his career, Super Bowl appearances, multiple MVPs, if I'm not mistaken. It's Ted sharing the stream. Thank you, Ted. Appreciate
Thank
you, buddy.
For the like as well, big dog. You're working for Labor Day? Damn.
Shit. Sorry, man.
Better make sure that there's some shit on the grill when you get home and a nice cold one.
Well, you better make sure that paycheck better be double an hour what it normally is. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, Labor Day is Labor Day for a reason. It means you're not supposed to work.
So I like the contract because it makes the NFL more fluid, right? It doesn't give me the uncomfortable feeling that the Christian Kirk contract gave me when it was signed.
Right. It just says that this Deshaun Watson contract is a 100% outlier. It kind of restructured the market on where quarterbacks and how big top players are going to be getting paid. Yeah.
No, I think that I when I see the number, when I see the number Russell Wilson gets, it feels like a lot of money, right? It's a lot of money for a guy who Aaron said is 33. I mean, by the quarterback standard now, he could play for another fucking 15 years. Who knows what's going to happen? But that's a lot of money for an undersized quarterback, right? When you saw Kyler Murray get the extension, it's a lot of money for an undersized quarterback. So maybe the comment of backing up the brakes truck for a guy like Joe Burrow, maybe that is true. Maybe they do have to do that, but it's not set in stone that it has to happen, right? It's not written in the stars that Joe Burrow has to get this $250 million guaranteed contract moving forward. And I think it creates a more team friendly environment because everybody gets to eat from a good quarterback contract too. Right. And I think we'll see at the end of this year what Lamar Jackson's contract looks like. That'll be your third strike, if you will, right? Or your third check in the box.
And Aaron just said that in the chat as well.
Oh, perfect. So, Deshaun gets full cash monies. Kyler and Russ get the let's call it 70-30, if you will, or something along those lines, like 70-30, 65-35, whatever you want to call their guaranteed versus total. And then he's right. I mean, I think Lamar Jackson is your final piece of that, because if say he gets a $230 million, or even if the Ravens want to give him that large of an extension, right? That's the big thing, is Baltimore going to give him the money? That's where I'm at, right?
There's no doubt they're going to give him the money. I don't see a world in where Baltimore just says, you know what, we're just going to let you walk, Lamar Jackson. That's fine.
What if he asked for $300 million?
Then you tell him to don't let the door hit him in the ass on the way out. I mean, he's not worth $300 million. I don't think any team's going to give him $300 million. What team would give Lamar Jackson $300 million?
I don't know. I'm just asking, what if that's his starting point, right? Okay, Deshaun Watson's worth $230. He hasn't played in a year. I'm an MVP, right? So now you're giving me, let's say $260, right? Maybe $260 is the number. Does Baltimore give him that money? What if he says he wants it all guaranteed?
No, that's an astronomical. I don't even know why Cleveland guaranteed all that money to Deshaun. That contract didn't even make sense. I mean, if you're looking at Lamar Jackson, I mean, yes, he had an MVP year, but what has he done for them in the playoffs? Has he gotten them to a championship yet? No. I would say if he got them to a championship and won them a ring, then I would say he can get whatever the hell he wants. But they don't have a ring yet, at least under his tenure. So until that happens, I don't think – I mean, he's got the MVP leg to stand on, which is a very, very strong leg. But if you're asking for over, $200 million guaranteed, which outside of Deshaun Watson, which that just doesn't make sense to me, nobody's going to get that amount of money guaranteed. I just don't see it.
We'll see. I think we're going to find out about week 15 or 16 what that money's going to look like for Lamar Jackson, because if he comes out and is MVP Lamar Jackson again, the conversation becomes a lot tougher, right? Because if he sucks, right, say he comes out and gets hurt or he shits the bed this year, then that number keeps going smaller and smaller and smaller, and the number of years even decreases, right? Like, I think, Pat Mahomes earned the 10 years or 12 years that he got within his contract extension.
Absolutely.
And, a guy like Josh Allen, right? That money is good. That money makes sense. So if Lamar Jackson shits the bed, what do you think that looks like?
Man, I mean, I don't see a world in where he's still not going to make around the 200 million mark. Just for his talent as a quarterback. I mean, let's set the record straight here. Lamar Jackson can play quarterback. Lamar Jackson, he's very quick. He reads everything very well. He can scramble. He's great with his feet. He can make the passes. He just hasn't. I don't know if he just maybe hasn't had the right tools around him. I know when he had Mark Ingram and Hollywood Brown and all those guys, like, the offense was good, but like I don't think he's really ever had like that star. Like, he's got Mark Andrews as a tight end. I think that's his best offensive weapon, but he never really had that like standout receiver, in my opinion. That's really been able to elevate his game to the next level.
So does that make his MVP year that much better than, say, a guy like Aaron Rodgers who has Devontae Adams?
Absolutely. 100%. Yeah, I would argue that all day. Aaron Rodgers, he's always had some pretty solid weapons around him. But Lamar Jackson, he didn't really have anybody notable. He made guys household names because of the way that he was able to distribute the ball. Did you see Dobbins is still limping? I did not see that. Crazy thing. I saw a video like maybe a half hour before the podcast started. There was some dude in college that went to jump and then basically broke his back. I don't know if you guys saw that.
Oh shit. No.
Yeah. So he went up and he was coming down and his head was back towards the surface, and then his heels touched the ground behind him. Like it was literally like just like a right angle, like right below the shoulder blades. It was the most disgusting thing I ever seen. You just hate, and he just went limp. Like, obviously,
yeah, sure.
Like,
that's terrible.
That's why you don't jump. You don't hurdle people. That's what can happen.
Is that what he did? He hurdled. He hurdled.
He hurdled, and somebody took his legs out, and he flipped, and then he landed wrong. Like, that's just what happens when you try to do that. I'm not every time I see that, I just have to turn away. Like, I don't want to watch it just because of instances like that. But anyways, let's get back on topic here. So chat, I want to know, for those of you that are in here, type in chat right now whether Wilson got overpaid or underpaid, and then I'm going to throw some stats at you. I'm gonna throw some hardcore stats. I'm not saying he's overpaid or underpaid. I'm just gonna throw some facts at you and then see if that changes your mind. Because
Carp has already said overpaid.
Carp said overpaid. So Aaron, Ted, Corey, anybody that just joined, let me know, Jeff, if you guys think he was overpaid or underpaid. But yeah, I think this is a contract year for Lamar. So if I'm a betting man, I'm betting that Lamar is gonna absolutely destroy this season. And I hate to say that, being in the AFC North with him, but it's in contract years. Players of his caliber typically step up to the plate. So
right, yeah, we're gonna see. I'm looking at the depth chart here briefly. Just if say J.K. Dobbins does doesn't start the year for them. So they went out and grabbed Kenyon Drake after he was waived by the Dolphins, right?
I think he still got some legs in him.
The Raiders, right?
Yeah,
Dolphins,
he was with the Raiders. He was
Raiders.
with the Dolphins. He was with the Raiders last year with Josh Jacobs.
That's right. So they signed Mike, or they claimed Mike Davis, I'm sorry, because he was released from Atlanta. So, and then once you get past that, it's basically practice squad from there, right? And
right.
You look. So I think still for Lamar Jackson, you have Mark Andrews, who's your top weapon. He's your for sure weapon, at least, right? And then you have Rashad Bateman, who was hurt most of last year, who showed towards the end of the year when he got healthy that he's got some talent. There's a reason why. Yeah, there's a reason why he got drafted in the first round, right?
Yeah,
there's a reason why Baltimore took a chance on him. So I'm really interested to see that dynamic. And I think you're right. I think Lamar Jackson realizes this is
it's make or break,
the put up or shut up year for him. So
yeah, absolutely.
We'll see.
All right. Well, Ryan, you said over. Got to spank Corey Love. You got to go. All right, go Cavs. All right, thanks, Aaron. Appreciate it. I'm about to drop some stats here if you want to stick around for just a second. All right, so here come the stats. 75 wins. Russell Wilson has the most wins by a quarterback in his first 7 seasons in NFL history. Second stat. Russell Wilson has the second highest passing touchdown percentage in the Super Bowl era, minimum of 3,000 attempts, and that's his 6%. Passer rating, 101.8 career passer rating. It's the second highest career passer rating in NFL history. The only other player better than that is Aaron Rodgers. The comeback king, Russell Wilson, is tied for fourth most fourth quarter comebacks, 21, and game-winning drives, 27, since entering the league in 2012. Its fourth quarter passer rating, it is the highest at 109.6 since 1991. And there's a ton of other stats kind of like that, but essentially Russell Wilson statistically is one of the best quarterbacks to step into the league in NFL history, definitely since 2012, statistically speaking. Now that's not to say that, there's been times where he has been very lackluster, but those stats, I would assume his attorney agent used in these negotiations to get him X, Y, and Z contract.
Sure. And look, for me, the Broncos are under new ownership, right? I mean, you have the Walton family coming in and purchasing your organization. And you have to make a statement somehow, right, that you're here to win, or right. you've brought the franchise to win. So why not pay the guy that you traded for? And he was due for an extension regardless, right? He was going to get a contract no matter what.
Yeah.
So this was just inevitable. It didn't have to be before the season started. A lot of people are like, he hasn't even taken a snap yet. What the fuck is going on here? How can you give a guy an extension when he hasn't even taken a snap in the blue and orange? It doesn't matter. When you are a guy that has made when you've made a Super Bowl appearance, you have MVP caliber statistics, you get paid. It's proof in that. A guy like Kyler Murray is the perfect example for that. That is somebody who has had no success in the playoffs.
Yep.
I would say limited, not super limited, but limited proof that he is a above average quarterback in the NFL. Now I'm saying that based on the fact that they're terrible in the playoffs. They're terrible in the second half of the season.
Tell you what, first half of the season, he's MVP.
Yeah. Last year he played great. I mean, he was kind of the backbone of them being so successful. He was able to be mobile, but also be able to, be in the pocket and have that presence, and he made the run game better. But
yep.
I don't think that he doesn't necessarily have the stakes in the ground to earn the big contract, but he did. So you have to pay a guy like Russell Wilson. And
for sure,
I think the Broncos, if they wouldn't have paid him now, there would have been a lot of question marks around it. Like, well, what are they waiting on? Why buy an organization and not solidify your foundation, right? Because
why trade what was supposed to be your future in Drew Lock for Russell Wilson, and then not pay him?
Thanks a lot, John Elway.
Right. But no, I mean, I think Russell Wilson still got a lot left in the tank, and I think Russell Wilson is going to surprise a lot of people this year. This is a guy that spends over $1 million a year on his personal well-being. This is a guy that is going to be around in the league for some time. Granted, he is an interesting individual when it comes to the football field. He definitely, you wouldn't be mad, if he let's say you didn't have Joe Burrow and you had Russell Wilson, you wouldn't really be mad about that, because if Joe Burrow didn't exist, in a world where Joe Burrow didn't exist, if you had Russell Wilson, you're not going to be upset. You're going to be pretty confident in the quarterback that you have, taking the reins.
Sure. I think even if you're Denver, right? Like when that trade happens and you trade for Russell Wilson, you're like, oh, damn it. Now I really wanted Drew Lock on the field. No, you did not want that.
Didn't.
Clearly he's not capable of being an NFL starter. I mean, he got beat up by Geno Smith. So, did you give up some extra pieces to get Russ there? Sure. You gave up Noah Fant. You gave up your first round pick tight end. But you also drafted a tight end in the last 2 years in the middle rounds that fits in fine. And once they get Courtland Sutton back, right? Because he'll be back at some point in time, be healthy. And if Jerry Jeudy can catch a football, that was his biggest demise. The dude has little giant hands. He just can't catch a football to save his life.
He just ate popcorn like all the time.
Yeah. So it's I don't think he's in a scenario to fail. I know, by the way, you have one of the best up-and-coming running backs in Javonte Williams in your backfield who could take 30 carries a game. He's built for that. That dude is a monster, and I think we only saw him sprinkle into what he can do in the NFL. Grub and Dub liking the stream. What's up,
Bruce?
How you doing, man?
Hope you're feeling good. Hope you're feeling better. He had like a severe case of the allergies. I got in Discord with him yesterday, and he sounded like Barry White.
Ooh, sexual.
Yeah, I got kind of horny, but
okay. I'm just. Have you ever watched or listened to a podcast called Stiff Socks?
No.
So, do you know who Trevor Wallace is?
Yes, I love him.
Comedian?
He's great.
Yeah. So him and this other comedian, his name's Michael Blaustein, do this podcast together, and it's literally just two guys around our age that just they talk about dicks. They talk about fucking, they talk about coming, and they talk about porn. And it's hilarious. Like, that's it. That's it. That's the statement.
I mean, with him at the helm, it sounds interesting because I love his, he actually had a show up here recently, and I almost bought tickets to it. I do want to see him live at some point. I think he'll be in
Cleveland. I think he'll be in Cleveland in the fall, so maybe we can work something out.
Yeah, I'd love to go see him live. I love him.
Yeah.
Your dog is on the couch. Yep. Hello.
And my cat is on the chair.
There's the cat. His pussy is on the chair. Hello, Tig.
Hey, so here's the thing that you guys don't know is that for the Rally Towel Sports production to exist, you have to have a production crew, and they do the lighting and the sound, and this is our crew.
Yeah.
These are the boys that make sure that we get on here and look pretty and sound good.
Yeah.
And I'd say they do a pretty damn good job.
Yeah, they're just all tuckered out. Yeah, they've had to go to Detroit, Cleveland, 2 places in Columbus. I mean, these guys are overworked and underpaid.
It's true. I'm actually paying them $0. Well, that's not true. I give them a place to live. That's enough, right?
Give them a place to live and food on the table.
Yeah, so
and a nice, comfy couch to sleep on.
That's true, or a bed. It's crazy because if Declan's, if he's in the bed too, there's a point in time where there's 3 humans and 2 animals in the bed, and I just wake up and I have a cat above me, and then a dog at my feet, and then a 17-month-old with his face right next to mine, and it could get scary at times.
I'd be afraid to roll over on some of them.
Dude, it was honestly when he was young, and he's slept in the bed with us for pretty much all of his life because the dude is a horrendous sleeper, whatever. But I was so scared of that for so long. But now he's old enough that if I say I were to even remotely touch him, he'd wake up and go, ah. and I just know it's happened. I've turned over. And he's been closer to me in the bed, and he'll go, and he'll start crying, or I'll start crying or something. And I can immediately oh shit, and I jump up. Right. You turn into a light sleeper as a parent too. That changes because I used to be kind of a heavy sleeper.
I sleep like a rock.
It's a small price to pay.
Yeah,
because parenthood is the greatest thing ever. It's a small price to pay.
Absolutely. All right. Well, does anybody have any other thoughts on the Russell Wilson contract extension out there in Denver? What was it? It was 245 million. Is that right? 235, 245?
245.
245 million contract extension over 5 years. So this contract's going to go until he's 38 years old. You know, Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers are really setting the bar with how far you can actually, and even Peyton Manning before that, played until he was almost 40.
Rob liking the stream. What up, Rob?
It does change. I can imagine it changes, Bruce. I know, Bruce, you've got two little ones, well, not little ones anymore, but yeah, Bruce has two kiddos himself. What has he done to deserve that?
I think he's talking about Russell Wilson's contract.
Oh, what has Russell Wilson done to deserve? I mean, I ripped off a bunch of stats. I don't know if you were in here before, but essentially, statistically speaking, since 2012, his entrance into the league, he's got the second highest pass rating in NFL history. He's obviously got two Super Bowl appearances, one win. He gets it done in the playoffs. He steps up when it's time to clutch up, and he's obviously proven that he can get it done on the field. And Denver's trying to make a turn, in their franchise. Obviously, they've had a few lackluster years, especially since Peyton Manning left. That's kind of when the demise happened. After Peyton left, they didn't really have an answer at quarterback, and the defense was really their strongest point. And the defense has since been restructured, with obviously Von Miller leaving a few years ago, and he's bounced around to a couple teams since. But Russell Wilson's, going to bring new light. He's 33. He's not exactly out of his prime yet. He's obviously on the downhill, but I think he's still better than a lot of starting quarterbacks in the league.
I don't even know if 33 is the downhill anymore. I mean, look at a guy. You look at guys like Fitzpatrick. Fitzpatrick played into his late 30s, and he never really subsided from being consistently average, right? Yeah. Like, I'm not saying that Ryan Fitzpatrick is in the conversation with Russell Wilson, but you look at guys who have played for a long time and started for a long time, and
Fitzpatrick was a serviceable quarterback. I don't really ever remember him having like a super terrible game.
Not really. Even when he was on the Bengals, he was very serviceable.
Yeah, he can manage the game. He can score you points. He's not gonna put 40 points on the board for you, but he can get you 20 to 28 points a game. As long as the defense holds up, you're good to go.
Which in Washington just didn't happen for him. So.
No, because their defense is terrible. Their defense last year was supposed to be the greatest thing since sliced bread last year, and then they fell apart like a. I don't know. I can't think of it, but they were just terrible last year.
Yeah, I mean, when you have 5 of your top 7 defensive players go down before week 5, it's not good. I mean, you got a guy like Chase Young going down and tearing his ACL. Like that is a complete derailer of your defense when your best edge rusher doesn't get to suit up. That's I mean, it's a real killer because you base your defense now the way the NFL works. You base your defense around an above average secondary and one really, really good edge rusher. Right. Because if you have both of those things, you give up less than you give up less than 28 points a game.
Yep.
So Washington is definitely an organization that is in full rebuild mode. It is 100%. Not going to be good for them for a while. So for any Commander fans out there, pray that you get a top 5 pick and you get to draft CJ Stroud or Bryce Young. That's it.
Absolutely. I did want to plug this, by the way. Chat, if you haven't already, it's on the scroller at the bottom of the screen. Go follow us on Twitter, rally_Tau_S. We are doing polls all day, every day, up until the start of the NFL season for the over-under that we did on last week's show. Was that Wednesday?
Yep.
For NFC polls are up. They're going up daily.
Last Thursday,
last Thursday, excuse me. They're going up daily. So please get in there. We want your feedback. We're going to use that feedback, and then getting into the latter half of the weekend and the beginning of next week, the AFC polls are going to start going up, and then we're going to do our show on Wednesday for our AFC overs and unders, and then we're going to compare results from the polls and what we think. So it's going to be a great show. So make sure you follow us on Twitter, tune in. Comment on those polls. Make sure you put your vote in, and then we'll discuss it next week. I just wanted to plug that, and I will plug it later. Bruce, thank you for actually
Bruce.
Typing it in the chat. Bruce, you're the GOAT.
Pen that shit.
Bruce.
Thank you, Bruce.
Can I just do a quick sidebar? This man is probably one of the best human beings on the planet. This man has helped me so much from my gaming channel. He's great with Discord. He's super supportive. He has his own channels, by the way. If you guys don't follow Grub a Dub, he plays a ton of fun stuff. He's super engaging. Go check him out. He's just a fantastic human being to interact with outside of just playing games and having fun. So, yeah, wonderful man.
Love you, Bruce. You're a good man. Appreciate you, buddy.
Here. We're gonna be playing. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say the Rally Towel Sports Boys support you in all of your endeavors. We're here for you.
Absolutely, 100%. All right. With that being said, let's switch veins for a minute. Obviously, we've got NFL coming up. We're all super amped. I know I am. I've got my first fantasy draft on Sunday, which I'm super excited for. We need to figure out if we're going to be doing a Rally Towel fantasy league and set that up quickly. Because I think maybe let's try. We could talk about it afterwards, but maybe we should try to do the DraftKings thing. Okay.
What do you think about that?
I like that better. I don't
Nick,
like getting in a ton of fantasy
What's up,
leagues.
Hermano?
What up, Nick? Sorry,
Nick. How do I sound? Nick, I'm using a new microphone. How do I sound? I need an honest opinion from somebody who will give me the truth. Because we're brothers. That's why.
We're waiting, Nick. This is important.
Yeah. Nobody talk.
The stream is stopped until you comment.
No, I think it would be cool to be able to do do it through DraftKings and then horrible as usual. Thank you. That's it. If you want to know what an older brother to a younger brother relationship looks like, that's it. This is it right here. You got to see it go down.
Love you, boo.
But I think it would be fun to do kind of a week-to-week thing because it comes out on top. Yeah, because a lot of times fantasy football people they just don't people give up halfway during the year or 1 week you forget to set your lineup and people get
No, I actually really like that a lot. I'm actually pulling up DraftKings on my phone right now to see how much Skrill is in that account.
Yeah. I think that would be fun.
All right. Anyways, I'll do that later. All right. So switching lanes, NFL. We are going to transition to the NBA briefly. Then we're going to touch on some college footballs because we got some big news in the NBA today. So Cleveland pulled another gotcha today.
Goddamn!
As they signed Donavon Mitchell, trade for Donavon Mitchell when they were reportedly out of it for the second time in Cleveland sports history in the last 6 months. They were out of it, and now they signed the one player that was at the biggest market in free agency. So Donavon Mitchell is going to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Todd, what are your thoughts?
Man, I gotta tell you. So I've tried to look at this in different angles and tried to kind of break it down to the nitty gritty. Here's what I think. I think the Jazz have been the most successful team in free agency.
Really?
Let me tell you why.
Okay, I'm interested.
So you trade Rudy Gobert, you get 5 players, 4 draft picks, right? You trade Donavon Mitchell, you get 3 players, 3 draft picks. You also go out and sign a couple of different pieces, right? So do they have a real superstar? Yeah, they have Colin Sexton. I think Colin Sexton has the opportunity to be a 30-point-a-night guy. I think he's shown that when he's healthy, he is a really, really good scorer. And in Cleveland, Donavon Mitchell and Darius Garland complement each other better than Colin Sexton and Darius Garland, right? Because they are very similar position players. They're dribble drive, a lot of ball handling, a lot of creating your own shot. They're very similar players. Colin Sexton plays at such a fast level that I think that him and Garland don't exist well enough together. Now, I'm not saying they wouldn't have played great together because we didn't really get to see it because Sexton was hurt most of the year. But we saw Darius Garland is capable of scoring 40 points in a game and averaging 25 a night. Donavon Mitchell has shown in his NBA career he could do very much the same, if not better. And Utah is in a position where they've elected, Danny Ainge rather, has elected that they're just going to
move on and rebuild.
Start over. Right. And if you're in the Western Conference right now, it's the best time to do it because the Western Conference sucks. It's garbage. Like you have the Suns, you have the Lakers, sometimes
Clippers,
and sometimes the Clippers and the Warriors. That's it. Those are your
teams.
Those are your 4 teams that you have to sit down and think about what's your plan, right? Everybody else is kind of on this like weird island where the 5 through 10 seeds are kind of up in the air, right? So if I'm Utah, a team that has really set the backbone on winning and getting into the playoffs, and then unfortunately, it just hasn't gone their way outside of winning the Western Conference Finals, right? They've never won an NBA championship. It sucks, right? It sucks to be the best team in the league when Michael Jordan exists, right? That's when they were at their peak. I think it's a great time for Utah to rebuild. They have draft picks. They have multiple first-round draft picks until 2029.
They have. I think you said it right. I mean, they kind of won. Yeah, they have draft picks galore. So basically, these next 4 to 5 years, they're going to be getting
7 years until 2029.
7 years, excuse me, 7 years. They're going to be getting so much new young talent that they're not going to know what to do with it. They're not going to have enough room for it.
Right, and here's the thing: it's perfect capital too, right? Because
it's trade bait.
Yeah, I mean the way that the NBA works is that a draft pick, or let's call it, so for part of Donavon Mitchell's were swaps, right? First and second round swaps. Yep. So that essentially what that means is, say Cleveland is supposed to draft 12th, Utah's supposed to draft 17th. Do a little switcheroony. Utah gets up into that 12th spot. They get to take their move on because they have 3 more picks in the first round, probably. So I don't see a world where Utah is in a bad spot here. And if I'm Utah, you are literally giving 15 guys an opportunity to basically have an open court tryout.
Absolutely.
Because of the 7 guys that they've traded for, one of them's gone. Patrick Beverley's gone, right? He's moved on. He's on the Lakers now. And really, you have 2 other guys that have proven that they have real NBA talent. Malik Beasley and Lauri Markkanen. That's it. Those are your only 2 guys where like, all right, you've seen them play minutes. They do things at the NBA level in their position. Everybody else is young or haven't even played a single second in an NBA game. And by the way, of these 7 players, 5 of them are over 6'7". Like it's not a bad position to be in if you're Utah. You've built the foundation for some bigs with going out and getting Jared Vanderbilt and getting Walker Kessler, who is one of Minnesota's picks in this year's NBA draft, a 7-footer who can shoot from Auburn. You get Markkanen, you get the rookie out of Kansas, and I can't think of his last name starts with an A. I'm not going to try to pronounce it on here because I'll sound terrible. But I really think the Jazz went out. And by the way, they still have Jordan Clarkson, right? And I'm not saying Jordan Clarkson's a superstar. I don't want to sit here and make it sound like I'm saying like, oh, Jordan Clarkson's the future of the Jazz. No, but you have a guy that has real veteran experience.
That's a guy that's going to contribute. He's going to bring some leadership.
Yes, he's your guy. He's your trenches guy, right? And you need that in the NBA. You need a guy that's been through the experience, that's been through the muck, and come out clean on the other side. And he'll teach Colin Sexton a lot about being a guard in the NBA. He'll learn a lot from Jordan Clarkson. Malik Beasley will learn a lot from playing with Jordan Clarkson. So
Jordan Clarkson went through the ringer in LA.
He did.
I mean, from the tail end of Kobe's career to, which was, in my personal opinion, kind of a shit show. And having to deal with all that, he's going to be a great guy for Colin Sexton to learn from. That's a great point.
Yeah, I'm really I know Corey's doing his draft or whatever, but if you're listening to this at a later date, I am excited to watch the Utah Jazz in 2 years. I'm not excited.
They're going to be phenomenal
because this year is going to. So I still think they make the playoffs because of how underwhelming the West is, but I think in 2024. If these young guys can play together, and as a Kentucky fan, I'm super big on Jared Vanderbilt. I think that he's a guy that even at Kentucky got very limited minutes because he had some stuff going on, right? He's a 6'9" power forward, and he plays like Charles Barkley. Like, I think there's something to be said about having that on your roster. Have a guy come in and kind of do the legwork for you and make your guards look pretty. So,
right.
I mean, you still have Mike Conley still there, right? And then,
does that dude age?
No, I mean he's been in the NBA for.
I feel like he's been in the NBA for forever.
Well, he got drafted in 2007, right? He was a part of the draft thing we did. Yeah. And you still have Bogdanovich. So now you're talking about probably because I think Jordan Clarkson still comes off the bench. Because that's where he does his best work. I think he's a great bench player, but you could play Bogdanovich, you could play Conley, you could play Malik Beasley, you could play Jared Vanderbilt. Mary liking the stream. Hi, Mary. How are you?
What up, murmur?
There's a lot of pieces here and by the way, in the Patrick Beverley trade, they get Taylor Horton Tucker and Stanley Johnson, two guys who have given real legitimate minutes in the NBA as well.
Yeah.
A lot of upside. I think that a lot of people were down on this trade for Utah. This is best case scenario for them. You freed up so much money.
Oh, for sure.
You're basically playing in the NBA in the green, which is damn near impossible in today's game.
Well, I mean, you got to think about it. Like after getting rid of Rudy Gobert and Donavon Mitchell, and then a couple of years prior getting rid of Gordon Hayward, like those three were the future of Utah, and they didn't work out, and that's fine. They've moved on, they've gone to different places, and Danny Ainge, being the GM that he is, has realized that okay, let's not hold on to what was, and let's look forward to what is,
sure.
What could be, and I think that's kind of. I just lost my train of thought. But it's very forward thinking for Danny Ainge, and it's refreshing to see somebody not hold on to a name just for money and fans and things like that, and actually want to build a championship contending team. I don't feel like there's a lot of that in the NBA. I feel like there's a lot of teams that hold on to names just to sell tickets and really keep it flowing, from a financial perspective, as opposed to just like getting back to the roots of what it is, and the roots of what it is winning.
Yeah. And look, the Corey said it, the Jazz fan base is so loyal that you're not losing ticket sales by getting rid of Donavon Mitchell and Rudy Gobert. Those people are coming to watch the Jazz play basketball. Right.
And that's few and far between though. Like there's a like
sure.
how many people out in LA are like, oh, I got to go see, Shaq and Kobe. And they're like, okay, so how long you been a Lakers fan? I'm not a Lakers fan. I just wanted to go see Shaq and Kobe. You know what I mean?
That's fair. No, that's fair. You're right. It's an anomaly in the NBA, right? You have a select few franchises that have been through this, right? You have teams like the Pacers and the Jazz and even really the Pistons right now. Like they're still selling a lot of tickets, and you're going out and watching teams that are in the rebuild, or they're kind of the revamp, whatever you want to call it for the time being. But yeah, I think if you're an NBA fan, you're not super high on the Jazz this year, but 2024, 2025, moving forward for the next 3 to 5 years, you're going to see a lot of good first round picks in Utah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then you don't have to play these guys that you traded for. Then you are actually building you're rebuilding the organization then, right? This is the stopgap. Everybody has the stopgap when you're in a smaller market, because you just can't afford to go out and pay a guy up to the the salary cap. So you rebuild and it's incremental, right? If you're a startup company, you're not going out and paying every salesperson six figures.
No.
Right? You commission them into it. And then when your tenured salesperson starts getting comfortable, you bring in the new salesperson. It makes it, and it gets uncomfortable again. That's what the Jazz are doing. It's going to be uncomfortable for a little bit, but it'll pay off in the long run.
Absolutely. I mean, for me personally, I feel like we are getting into some really like golden years of NFL and NBA, and there's a lot of tides turning, especially with Tom Brady. He's going to be retiring soon. Aaron Rodgers, he's going to be retiring soon. LeBron, who knows? He'll be here for another decade because he wants to play with Bryce James, which that's going to take at least another 5 years.
So crazy.
I read this. I don't hate talking about LeBron, but it's kind of frustrating because like he's such a big part of the NBA and he's been a part of so fun fact, LeBron has been in the NBA longer than in his lifetime than he was outside of the NBA. That's a true stat. He spent more days in the NBA than he has outside of the NBA in his current lifespan, which that's just mind-boggling to me. But anyways, I saw him. He was eyeing teams and draft picks, and he set up contracts. So he wants to play with both of his kids on the floor at the same time. That's what I gathered from it. It wasn't like, hey, I'll play with Bryce for 1 year and Bronny for 1 year. It's like, no, I'm going to play with both of them on the same team. At least, until I can't play basketball anymore. And granted, that's a really cool concept. Like that number one is going to sell tickets. Number two, I'm here for it. I'm going to watch it. But
hell yeah, you're going to watch it. It's LeBron James.
It's history.
It's the best player that's ever played
like
professional
Ken Griffey
basketball.
Sr. playing with Ken Griffey Jr. Like if I could have witnessed, I would give my left nut to watch that. Like
for sure.
Like that was rocking the Mariners hat here as well. So shout out to Seattle. But
shout out to Ichiro in Seattle.
That's another guy I wish I could have seen play.
Same. Dude, the Major League Baseball is doing it right by doing the even series thing. I don't know if you saw that or not. So for anybody that's listening or will be listening, what I'm talking about is that Major League Baseball for next season has implemented what they call a level schedule or an even schedule. So if I am, say your family's in Cleveland, right? It's not 4 total games against Cleveland anymore. It's like 8 to 12 now, depending on how the schedule pans out. And it's kind of similar to football where you pick a different league, different division, and that's kind of who you play more games with. So right now, it looks like the NL Central is going to play more games against the AL East, which means Toronto is going to be in Cincinnati. So you better believe I'm going to go watch Vladdy Jr. play at Great American Ballpark.
Hell yeah! I want to see him fucking rope one.
Yeah. So I said this in our group chat, and I'm going to get on
Bo Bichette and all of them.
Let me give me time me on a 3-minute baseball spiel. We'll get back to sports that are relevant in today's world.
Okay, it's 9:23. Go.
So I think that for the first time in Major League Baseball history, and this is a big stretch, but I'm going to say it, and I feel confident about it. We're going to have the first father-son duo ever enter the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame, and it's going to be Vladimir Guerrero Sr. and Vladimir Guerrero Jr.
Oh, I agree with 100%.
I believe that Vladimir Guerrero Jr. will hit 600 home runs. I believe that he will hit over 275 for his career. And I also believe that he will be in top 25 in RBIs when it's all said and done. So I think it's a really good thing for baseball. And it's cool for us because we're watching
we got the guys. Dad, now we get to see the son. I mean, how much, especially for you being a dad. Like
that's pretty fucking cool.
And having that bond with your son, I'm getting chills thinking about it. It's like, can you just like as a fan and as normal human beings who never could reach that level, just thinking about the possibility of one, making it to that level, and two, having a child make it to that level, and then also having the same success, if not better success than you did at that level. I mean, that's incredible.
Yeah, it's a pretty special thing, and I'm really excited that we're going to get to see history happen. And I think you're right, for me as a parent and for me as a dad, like it's pretty cool because
that's what baseball is about.
Yeah,
like,
it's the most romantic
sport ever.
Yeah, but my point being that I think that we're kind of in the period now where baseball sucks. Right.
Yes,
it really sucks.
100%.
Nobody's watching it. Nobody's talking about it.
Right. We got Albert Pujols getting ready to hit 700 home runs and it's not even a headline on ESPN.
Right. It's very limited. You're right. So it'll be cool to have more national media attention, because with playing in these more even series, that even though they're in the same division as the Yankees and the Red Sox, they're going to get to play the Dodgers a little bit more, or they're going to get to play on the West Coast a little bit more. They're going to get to play Atlanta a little bit more, whatever it may be, or larger markets. They're going to get entered into that a little bit more frequently. So
for sure,
it's only good for somebody like Vladdy Jr., who
absolutely,
who has kind of been the silent assassin as he's entered into Major League Baseball and really shut down all of the haters from his rookie year, saying that he was only in baseball because of sharing Dad's name. He has shut everybody up, and I'm here for it.
Absolutely. I could be as bold to say is that he's slowly becoming the new face of Major League Baseball, because Fernando Tatis absolutely dropped the ball.
Yeah. Well, we haven't even really talked about that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even want to talk about it. It's kind of disappointing, to be honest. This is a guy that, in previous, live streams that, Corey and Aaron and Todd and we've all talked about Fernando Tatis and how he was the future of baseball, mainly Todd. I mean, Todd was the biggest proponent of this day one. And the fact that he came out and now he's got this big scandal and, he's suspended for hundreds of games. And it's just, it's devastating as a baseball fan, because this is a guy. Obviously, his dad, Fernando Tatis, great baseball player. Fernando Tatis Jr., great baseball player in his own right. I don't even think he needed to do what he did, but he did it anyway. And he was, a guy that in interviews that was very humble and carried himself well and was a great spokesperson. He was great with the fans. He's great with the community. And then you have that shit come out, and then you just lose all of that. It just sucks it right out of you.
Yeah. And it's hard because you realize too, I mean, a lot of the stuff that was coming out, and look, the Padres had, I mean, and this year again, it's kind of they had one of the biggest downfalls in baseball last year. They went from being being the best team in the West at one point in time to not making the playoffs.
Yeah.
And then you saw Tatis Jr. and Machado, two very big heads in the dugout, not be able to exist with one another, and fights happening. And and you're right. I was a big proponent of Tatis Jr. being the face of baseball, and I'm not willing to admit that I don't. I'm not saying that I'm wrong, right? Because at that point in time, it was right. But it sucks when the guy that's supposed to be
lets you down.
The future, just, it's not even let me down. He let the community down. It's not just me. Who gives a fuck about me being a baseball fan? It's everybody else who.
I meant that as a whole. Like, he just he let everybody down. And it's
all these kids that emulate him and want to be him. And when you find it, look, you're talking to a kid that my favorite player at one point in time was Jason Giambi. When I found out he was taking steroids, I was devastated. Like, it's hard as a kid, as you're learning and molding into who you are as a person as a whole, to find out that the person that you respect the most or up to that top level, they're using something to get a competitive edge. And it's hard.
Sammy Sosa for me.
Yeah.
I loved, even as a Reds fan, I loved Sammy Sosa. I will never forget being at Riverfront. And those seats that were down right behind home plate, you could just walk down there and you could yell at the dudes in the batter's circle. And I yelled, and I was like, Sammy. He turned around and he gave me one of these, and I was like, I was fucking ecstatic.
Sure.
You know, like Sammy Sosa acknowledged my presence as a human being. And then to find out that he's corking bats and it fucking crushed me.
Sure.
Absolutely destroyed me.
It's never good to find out that your heroes cheat, right? It is what it is. Like,
yeah, it's life.
You know, when you're 8 or 9 years old and you're a sports fan, or if you're a specific sports fan, right? It's, you know, and you find out that your favorite player in that sport does something that you're not supposed to do, or that it's against the rules, and you're taught your whole life to follow the rules and to toe the line. It's really hard to swallow that pill.
Yeah,
and then
absolutely.
it makes you realize that people aren't as peachy keen as they say they are. So it is what it is. You're right. I mean, we still have Ronald Acuna Jr. We still have, you know, Vladdy Jr. There's guys in baseball.
There's a lot of great young talent in the MLB right now.
Julio Rodriguez. Yeah, Julio Rodriguez. Seattle gave him an enormous contract extension.
Yep. And let's not forget about the best player that could be potentially ever play baseball, in Shohei Ohtani. I mean, let's not forget about that blessing that has been dropped upon us.
That we back-to-back MVP
that we couldn't shut up about last year, and even this year, because he repeated and did exactly what he did last year. I think we're watching the greatest player to ever do it right now. So don't ever, like, if the Angels are ever in town, don't fucking miss a game. Go. Even if he's not going to play, he might take an AB. Go. I got to see that man take 4 at bats in Cleveland, and he fucking whiffed on all 4 of them, and I don't care because I can say I fucking watched Shohei Ohtani ground out, fly out, strike out, ground out. Like, I don't care. I got to see this man take cuts.
Right. It's true.
I don't know. It's getting real passionate right now. Sorry.
The drinks are flowing. It's fine. We're all good.
No, absolutely. But all right. Well, we've talked about the Donavon Mitchell trade. We've talked about the Russell Wilson contract extension.
Tez in the stream. What up, Tez?
What up, Tez? As we get into the latter half of the show, we're going to be speaking in the realms of college football. Because college football actually started today. For those that aren't aware,
it is actively going on right now.
Live football that actually matters starts today, and it's college football.
On ESPN, you have West Virginia and Pitt in a 17-10 battle with Pitt on the goal line, creeping on the Mountaineer door. On Fox, you got Penn State and Purdue who are jumping into half. You got Louisiana Tech and Missouri at ESPNU. And then tonight, to round it out, you got a little Arizona State and Northern Arizona. Fuck the matchups. College football is back. I think it's one of the best. Here's the thing. I'm a Bengals fan, right? I've made that very apparent. I'm a Bengals fan. I love the NFL. I like everything that the NFL does. There is something about watching football on Saturdays that is it feels so much different.
Go Blue. We got a Michigan fan in the chat.
Ooh,
AKA Tez.
Let's jump into it. Let's talk about Ohio State, Notre Dame. Right.
Ohio State, Notre Dame Saturday,
7:30 on ABC. I think it's by and large the biggest game that's going on this weekend. Right. You have Georgia and Oregon playing at 3:30. Georgia being the preseason number 3, Oregon being the preseason number 11. But then you're talking about number 2. Ohio State University. I will never put the in front of them. I will go to my grave without putting that in front of Ohio State University.
Ohio State University.
I will never put that in front of it. Nobody deserves having a in front of anything. Unless it is the Amazing Spider-Man. I'm not talking about anything else.
What about the Declan Gottschall?
Okay, that's fine too. I like that. But you have number 2 Ohio State jumping off against number 5 Notre Dame. I think for me, as I'm looking at this game, and I hate to be a Debbie Downer here, but I'm kind of underwhelmed, to be honest with you. I think Notre Dame as a whole, as a university, they suck in tough games. They don't do well in New Year's Day, New Year's Eve, and New Year's Day games. They've sucked in the BCS. They haven't made it to the college football playoffs yet. We've watched them on the national spotlight over the last 10 years in our timeline lose big games. Obviously, last year for us, Bobby, you and I, watching the University of Cincinnati beating Notre Dame, that was a huge win for UC, and it was nuts.
Watching that game was unbelievable. Like,
yeah.
So for those of you that know me personally, I'm not typically the biggest proponent of college football, just because I prefer pro sports. For those of you that genuinely know me, I prefer pro sports. But that game was unbelievable to watch. That was probably one of my favorite college football games to watch.
It was electric.
Yeah.
And now you're talking about a Notre Dame team with a new head coach, a new quarterback, new staples in the defense, going against an Ohio State team that brought back pretty much everybody. And that defense has a new defensive coordinator that is going to throw out packages that nobody has ever seen. So don't forget that when Oklahoma State and Baylor played in the Big 12 championship, that Oklahoma State had one of the best goal line stands ever. One of the best goal line stands I've ever seen watching a football game. And that is now Ohio State's defensive coordinator. The one thing that everybody was kind of shitting on Ohio State, right? We watched them lose to Oregon. They lose to Michigan. And everybody's like, well, this Ohio State defense just doesn't know how to keep up the tempo. Ohio State has two of the top 5 best edge rushers in college football.
They're going to be an absolute force to be reckoned with this year.
It's scary. And here's my bold prediction, and I've had to prepare myself to say this. So
you're not going to say this. You're not going to say this. You're not going to say it.
I think Ohio State wins the national championship this year.
Oh my God!
I do. I really do.
Okay, so this is coming out of a bleed blue UK man that Ohio State is going to win the national championship this year.
I think
I
that
had to grab the mic. Like I'm like,
I hate it. I hate for somebody who has been so anti-Ohio State for such a long time to feel that way. And Tez, you're right. They lost their 2 top wide receivers.
They did.
But they also have 5 of the top 30 wide receivers in college football to back them up. They're going to have
Marvin
2 guys.
Harrison Jr.
Yeah. And they have Julian Fleming and then Jigba. They have 2 guys that are probably going to be first-round draft picks again in this year's draft.
That's one thing that Ohio State's never sleeping on is great wideouts.
Brian Hartline is the best recruiter of wide receivers that's ever existed in the college.
Not only recruiter, but coach. Brian Hart. He didn't have the greatest NFL career, but God bless America if that man can't run a route.
For what it's worth, he was a Pro Bowler. And he was great at Ohio State. So I think here's the thing, and I'm justifying this to myself. I'm not justifying it to the people. I'm doing this because I'm working through a lot of weird, uncomfortable emotions. Because I can
appreciate it.
I never talk about Ohio State in a good way. I will watch this game on Saturday, and I will not root for Ohio State. I just want to set that very, very clearly. I will be watching the game with Ohio State fans. I will not be rooting for them. Right. I want to make sure that I'm making my voice heard here on a public platform. I will not be rooting for them, but
it's on record.
I am a man of reason and I'm a man of statistics. CJ Stroud absolutely destroyed last year. They bring Trayvon Henderson back, who played excellent as a true freshman. They still have an above average, a top 5 wide receiver core. They have one of the best interior linemen in Paris Johnson, who's probably going to be a first-round draft pick in this upcoming draft class. I've already talked about the edge rushers. I've already talked about the new defensive coordinator that's going to throw packages. They're running a pro-style defense with a bunch of 19 and 20-year-olds. I hate it. Tez, I'm right here with you, man.
In all of the time that Tez and I have spent together, I've never heard this man even write or speak a cuss word until now. Thank you for that, Tez.
I'm sorry I'm bringing that out of you, Tez. It's not my intention. It's really not. But I'm calling the game as I see it. Notre Dame doesn't have all the weapons to match the pace that Ohio State's going to be setting. CJ Stroud is going to be here. So here's my prediction, right? Ohio State is going to come out. They're going to run it down Notre Dame's throat because they're going to set the tone that they can beat them in between the tackles. That's how it starts. And Trayvon Henderson has the ability to do that. And I hate saying all of these positive things. I'm going to have to throw up when we get done doing this because I feel it churning in my stomach.
Right. I'll hold your hair.
Oh, thank you. I look at Notre Dame and I look at Brian Kelly, and I look at the way that he's left, and you bring in Marcus Freeman, who is this excellent coach. And I don't, and this is not a knock on Marcus Freeman whatsoever, because I think Notre Dame will get back to its notoriety back in the very near future. I think we're a year or two away from Notre Dame being a real top 5 team again, because Marcus Freeman is actually a good coach. Oh God, they don't need Manti Te'o again, Bruce. Get catfish for the national championship.
They need a catfish. That's who they need.
Yeah. Great. By the way, great documentary on Netflix. It's awesome.
You told me about it. I still haven't watched it. I need to watch it.
It's great. It'll blow your mind. That's all I'm saying. I'm not going to give anything else away. It'll blow your mind. Yeah. But my point being, I think Ohio State shoves it down Notre Dame. I think they beat it by at least 3 touchdowns. That's
shit.
That's it. That's my thing. I'm saying I don't like it. I don't think C.J. Stroud is a Heisman Trophy winner because I still think Bryce Young is the better quarterback between the two of them at the collegiate level. And call it. That's it. That's all the good things I can say about Ohio State for at least another 5 to 7 weeks.
No, for sure. I mean, Brian Kelly, ever since he left UC and the way he left UC, saying he wasn't that dude is in like the Pete Carroll realm for me, like just a absolute POS. I know that he left for his dream job, and that's great, but he shouldn't have said he wasn't going to leave and then left.
Yeah, well, he left his dream job to go to the SEC, right?
Right. You can't say that Notre Dame's your dream job and then leave that job for another job. You can't just backpedal like that and then expect to have respect. At least in from a fan perspective and in the coaching world. My mic changed. What do you mean my mic changed? Shouldn't have changed. It's right here. But no, I mean, yeah.
For what it's worth, you actually sound better now.
Oh, okay, cool. I appreciate it. Taz saying Brian Kelly is a bum. You see the new accent he has now. He's so fake. Yeah, I mean that dude is faker than the Kardashians, man.
I would love to take a shit in Brian Kelly's front yard, and I want him to watch me take a shit in his front yard. Right. I don't want to do it in secrecy. I want to knock on his door. I want him to open the door
right here,
and I want to drop trowel.
I want you to look me in the eye while I do this,
and not on his patio. I want it on his freshly manicured lawn, and I want to take a shit on his lawn because I think that you're right. He is the ultimate
like a skyline poop, though.
Yeah, not a good one. Yeah, it's got to be gross.
It's got to be like a combination of Chipotle and Skyline.
Fuck it up, then. Let's do it. But
yeah,
Brian Kelly's just one of those guys, and especially for us being Cincinnati natives, and you watched what he did with UC's program, and he built this thing up, and he built up, and then we got into the Tuberville era where he just didn't give a fuck about being a college football coach. He was coming off some scandals. He had kind of ran Auburn's program into the ground post Cam Newton, and it was hard because you see a guy like Brian Kelly who's like, I'm not leaving. Yep. They lose to Florida. I'm not leaving. I'm staying around. UC's my home.
Nope.
Okay, I gotta take my dream job. I'm sorry. See you later.
One time I can understand. You're leaving for what is supposed to be your dream job. Okay, great, go. Don't pass up the opportunity. But then you leave your dream job for something else. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, he's a bum. He's a bum. That's all I'm gonna say. Brian Kelly and Ohio State have taken up too much of my time tonight. Again, I have to go upstairs and see. This is what you guys are doing to me. I have to go upstairs. Shower. I'm going to have to take a shower. I'm probably going to wake up Declan. He'll cry. Mary's going to get mad at me. But I do this for you all. I'm here for you. It's for the content, ladies and gentlemen. It's not for me. I don't get anything. Trust me, right now on the inside, I'm going to have to pray tonight because I literally went against everything that I believe in by I complimented Ohio State for what, 10 minutes?
You're going to have to wash yourself of your sins, sir.
I will. I'm going to have to, me and the priest are going to have a little confessional tomorrow.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
I've went against my beliefs and I'm sorry for Tez. I'm especially sorry to you as a Michigan fan that you had to sit here and listen to a guy tell you he's not an Ohio State fan and then talk him up. But I had to. I have to be true to I have to be true to the world of sports. I have to be true to the world of sports, and I think Ohio State is the best team in college football. And the only reason they're not number one is because they're not in the SEC. That's it. That's all it is.
Fired.
That's it.
Shots fired.
I hate it. I hate
Bruce
all
saying,
of it.
Mary, I don't even like sports. It's not for me. It's for the rest of the viewers.
See, Mario, she'll get mad, but she'll get it. She'll know if I go upstairs and be like, "I'm sorry, Mary. I talked about Ohio State for a long time, and I complimented them." She'll be like,
"Who does
get
she
out of
root
here."
For? Is she a college sports gal?
No, she's a Bengals fan. And I'm really proud of her, man. She's done a really good job as we've gone through this podcast. And I'm gonna plug my wife here for just a second. She does a great job of keeping up with sports, and she challenges me. She asks me trivia questions. She makes sure that I'm on my I'm up to date on all my shit. She's other than just being a great mother, she's an excellent wife, and she's a great supporter of this. So shout out to all the ladies of Rally Towel Sports who are supporting us and chasing the dream. Y'all are the fucking absolute goats.
Mary, Katie, and Caroline.
Absolutely. This shit doesn't. Here's the thing, and anybody that's married and has children understands this shit doesn't work without your spouses approving it.
Absolutely,
right?
100%.
That's why it works, because our wives or significant others give us the opportunity to get on here and drink booze and talk shit for a little bit, and I'm super thankful for that.
Absolutely, Todd. Off the top of the dome, do you know Notre Dame's college ranking right now?
Yeah, they're 5th right now.
Okay.
Yeah, it is a 2v5 matchup.
So who's you know top 10 off the dome, or do I need to look that up?
No, I got it right here though for you. I know.
Okay.
So it goes Alabama, Ohio State, Georgia. That's 3. 4 is probably Clemson right now. I think Clemson's either 4 or 6. Notre Dame's 5. Oh, here we go. I got it. Yep. So Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, Georgia, Clemson, Notre Dame, Texas A&M, Utah at number 7, which is not an overrating here. I think Utah is going to shock the world of the Pac-12. That is
hell yeah.
That is a program. I mean, they beat Oregon twice last year. There's a reason behind that.
Pac-12 make the championship. That would be fantastic.
I mean, especially with UCLA and USC leaving. 8 is Michigan. 9's Oklahoma, and then Baylor is 10. So that's your top 10 there. So you're talking 3 SEC, 2 Big Ten, 5, 1 independent, 1 Pac-12, and then 2 Big 12.
Okay. Tess,
so pretty bad
here. Where do you think Michigan's going to fall at the end of the season? How many L's does Michigan take, if they take any? And do they end up in the playoffs like they did last year?
So here's my thing. Here's my Big Ten spiel. I think the Big Ten's down this year as a whole.
I would agree.
It's Ohio State
in the draft.
It's Ohio State, Michigan, Michigan State. Those are your 3 Big Ten teams. I believe so. Ohio State is 2. Michigan is 8, and I believe Michigan State is like 15, 17, somewhere in that area. I think the Big Ten's down as a whole. And look, there's a lot of big shit that's going to come out of the Big Ten in the very near future. I mean, you're talking about bringing Los Angeles into the Big Ten. That's a big deal. There's a lot. First of all, it's a lot of fucking money with this new TV deal that they've restructured. And number 2, it makes the Big Ten a lot better because now USC has a coach and Lincoln Riley that will actually help them win. And UCLA gets some of the Big Ten recruits that they didn't get before. So
All right,
going to change.
let's look at the So Tez says that Michigan football is not going to lose a game this year. Let's look at the Michigan football schedule.
So I know they open with Colorado State. I know that for a fact.
Yeah, so I'll just roll through it. Colorado State, Hawaii, Connecticut, Maryland, Iowa, Indiana, Penn State. They don't play a ranked opponent until
Michigan State.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Week 8 against Michigan State. And that is the only ranked opponent they play until they play Ohio State in the last week of the college football season.
Again, the Big Ten's just down. It's down. So
yeah, I mean, Michigan should truly win every game up until they beat Ohio State. I think Ohio State gets the revenge this year. Tez, I'm sorry. Like I said, I'm not a huge proponent of college sports. I don't typically have a team that I root for. I'll either pull for Cincinnati or Ohio State. My dad's a big Ohio State man. He went to Ohio State. I'm from Cincinnati area, so I love Cincinnati as well. I'm bringing them here too. All right, Amber, we appreciate you. Thank you for swinging through. Yeah, I mean, I don't see a reality in where Michigan beats Ohio State this year. I think Michigan takes at least one L. Unless Ohio State just dramatically takes a downturn due to injury or some other crazy scenario.
It's got to be crazy. It's got to be crazy.
I don't think Michigan stands a chance against Ohio State this year. Last year, with Aiden Hutchinson and that defense, that was a great team that Michigan had last year, no doubt. And my stepdad's Carl, if you're watching, huge Michigan football fan, talks the most shit out of any person I know in regards to college sports. But Ohio State's just better this year, on paper at least. Obviously, we're gonna see how that plays out this year, but I don't wish injury on anyone, but Tez, I love you, dude. You're hilarious.
The backfield Michigan is still deep. They have at least two guys that I know of that still run the ball well. Other than Ajobo and Hutchinson leaving, they really didn't lose a lot. So
yeah,
it's not. There's a reason why they're preseason 8, and I'm gonna say that, and then I'm gonna fucking counter. I'm gonna counter myself.
You're gonna redact that statement.
Yeah, preseason's rankings are what they are, right? It's just like guessing guessing a budget for a business. It's all a guess. It's all based on strength of schedule.
Right.
It's based on who comes back. It's based on the upcoming class, who you lose, who you gain, coaching wise. Michigan lost. They lost their anchors in Ajobo, Hutchinson, but they didn't really lose much else. And Tez, I can't see how you argue against me. I just don't think Casey McNamara is a good quarterback. I think that
I should say that Tez came in with a comment 3 minutes ago. He said if Michigan loses, it'll be the last game of the season to Ohio State. Honestly, they shouldn't lose any game before that.
Yeah. Oh, look, I don't disagree with you. I think Michigan State is actually a team right now that is ranked higher than they will end up. I think that's like your Wisconsin of last year, right? Where Wisconsin's ranked super high. They struggle. I think that's Michigan State. I think Kenneth Walker was such a large part of that offense that you lose a guy like that to the NFL, you change a lot. And the Big Ten still does a lot of the let me call it the big offense, right? The power eye and running the ball a lot. And Michigan State does that well, and they sometimes make good quarterbacks. I mean, Kirk Cousins is a good quarterback. He's the one that comes to mind. But I just think Michigan State is one of my it's my overranked team for the year. It's one of my overranked teams for the year, at least I should say. There's a couple in there that I feel like are ranked much higher than where they should be or where they're going to end up. So that's my spiel. I'm sticking to it. I've said enough nice things about Ohio State tonight. I cannot stress enough that
how's UK football going to do this year, Todd?
Dude, it's actually, so here's the deal. UK is ranked 21 in the preseason rankings. UK has probably one of the top 5 pro style quarterbacks going into this year in Will Levis. They have one of the a top 10 running back in Chris Rodriguez in the backfield, and they lost almost nobody on the defensive side of the ball. Here's the thing. They're not going to win the SEC. I'm not going to sit here and try to say that shit, right? I'm a realistic man. But as a UK fan, I think they might have a chance of cracking the top 15 this year. And I dare to say that they might even get into the top 10. That's a really good football program that Mark Stoops is doing an absolutely incredible job of building that team from really nothing, right? Like 5 years ago, Kentucky football was with Vanderbilt as a laughingstock of the SEC. People played UK and went in and crushed them on their home field to rebuild. It wasn't a challenge; it was a rebuild. But they have some real tools there, and I think people will be surprised, and you shouldn't be, because they beat Florida last year, whether Florida was down or not. They've won bowl games 2 years in a row. The SEC is just so big and so powerful that I can't sit here and be unrealistic and be like, oh, Kentucky has a good chance of winning the SEC. No, they don't. As long as Georgia and Alabama exist in the SEC, they don't. And Texas A&M, because Texas A&M has the best recruiting class this year. They're number 6 because the recruiting class is S tier, and then everybody else is A, B, C, D. Texas A&M has the best recruiting class in the history of college football. They have 10 of the top 30 players out of high school. That's unheard of. Thanks to NIL, right? That's NIL money, right? But
yeah, absolutely.
The SEC is just it's so deep, and that's why I think a team like Ohio State sneaks in and wins the national championship, because you beat the shit out of each other all year long, and the SEC is getting more powerful and more powerful and more powerful. And I mean, for a down Big Ten, it just makes it easier. So
yeah,
it is what it is. I hate it. Again, I hate it so much.
I know it pains you to talk about Ohio State.
God, I fucking hate
Ohio
it.
State in general. Ohio State.
Call it a night. I'm done with that bullshit.
All right, chat. Well, we're about an hour and a half in. We're gonna be wrapping up soon. Excuse me. If you guys have anything, says the town hall, please make sure that you throw it in there. We'll definitely discuss it. Definitely love all the engagement this evening. We had almost 60 comments. You guys have been absolutely lit. Thank you.
Thank you, Tez.
All right, Tez coming in with another comment. He says, "See, I don't know why people hype up the SEC like that, because they're not that deep either."
They are deep this year, Tez. I'm telling you that. Florida's back. The program's back, moving in the right direction. Texas A&M's deep. Georgia.
I was surprised to hear Texas A&M in the top 10. Can you do you have any knowledge on A&M? I don't. On what they bring to the table and what they're going to be competing with this year.
Yes, the 13th man. They have the best, one of the best college football stadiums. I just lost this. Oh fuck! I just lost his name, and I was going to make a point about him. Give me a second.
I just threw it back in your head.
No, it's gone. It's completely gone.
I tried.
This is 2 full glasses of bourbon. So it goes Jimbo. Thank you, Jimbo Fisher. So they have one of the best college football coaches in Jimbo Fisher, one of the best recruiters in Jimbo Fisher, and now they've acclimated to SEC football. And Tez, I hear what you're saying. They were not good in bowl games last year. I mean, my Cats won a bowl game. It is what it is. But I'm just going to throw out. I'm going to throw out some names here of teams that I think in the SEC that you're probably maybe downplaying a little bit. I don't know. So Georgia, top 5, right? Kentucky, top 25. Alabama's number 1. Texas A&M, top 10. Ole Miss is in the top 25. Arkansas is in the top 25. Tennessee is right there on the cusp of the top 25. LSU is a complete question mark because it's a complete rebuild. Ed Ogeron drove him into the ground because he's bringing hookers and cocaine to practice. So now Brian Kelly has to figure it out with his fake, shitty Southern accent. But I will say, statistics tell you that the SEC played bad in the college basketball tournament, and they had the most teams ranked in the top 25 at the end of the year. So As a conference as a whole, I don't always equate to being hookers and coke. Yes, that's a. So Ed Ogeron was bringing prostitutes to practice. He called them his girlfriends, but they were hookers. So
that's pure and utter insanity to me.
Yeah.
By the way.
Yep. Yeah. Well, when you coach in the Bayou and you got a bunch of money around you, and you're winning, right? When he was winning, it didn't matter. But once they started losing, it mattered.
When you've got all that talent at LSU, especially like the Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase era of LSU, like
that was a special team.
Who fucking gives a shit?
Yep. But I think Florida is a team. Again, I think you have to watch out for them this year. We
brought Bruce back with the hookers and coke. Bruce, thanks for coming back.
They sucked last year. They played very poorly. Dan Mullen kind of took them down as recruiting as a whole. You bring in the Napier Ball era. We had Ben Trope on here last Wednesday, and he said it perfectly, and I think it's great. There's a reason why you put $85 million into a football facility for a university.
Sure.
There's something there, right? And they see something there with Billy Napier, and Billy Napier, and Ben said it too. Billy Napier sees this as this is the best opportunity he's ever had. He's coming from the University of Louisiana, and now he gets to coach in the SEC, and now he's backed by one of the best booster programs in college football. So, yes, the SEC didn't equate to bowl wins last year, but I don't. There's not even close to another conference in college football right now that matches what the SEC does year in and year out. I win that argument 100 times out of 100. I don't give a shit if Michigan and Ohio State are in the top 10. Everybody else sucks. Penn State proved it to me last year. They were in the top 10. They sucked. Michigan State was in the top 10. They sucked when it was all said and done. So the SEC it's just better. It's a better place to recruit to.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, Penn State really hasn't been a great school since. Well, I mean, I wouldn't even say a great school, but they haven't been a competitive school since they had all that scandal, and we're not going to talk about that.
Well, yeah, they did. They got to the top 10, and then they lose 3 times. Michigan State cracks the top 10, they lose twice. Yep. And then Michigan beats Ohio State. Both of them are in the top 10. Michigan State gets into the college football playoff, gets their ass kicked. So, and again, I'm not disputing, right? The SEC lost more games than the Big Ten as a whole in the bowl series, but look what Michigan did when they got to the national platform, and then they had to play the SEC, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And now, does it suck that they had to play Georgia? For sure, but everybody watched the same game, right? It's the same thing with Alabama playing UC. Everybody watched the same game. It is a completely different style of football.
Absolutely. All right, chat. Do you guys have anything else for us this evening? I'm going to plug this one more time. If you guys haven't already, please make sure that you go follow us on Twitter. We've got polls going up every day from this point moving forward for the next week regarding the overs and unders for games 1, the NFC and the AFC. We obviously did that poll last week. We did all of our picks live. We did get Corey's picks, which we still need to post, which we will soon. We're going to be doing the AFC show next Wednesday. So please make sure you tune in for that. But the polls are going up. We definitely want to talk to you guys about it. So if you haven't followed us on Twitter, it's rally_Tal_S. And we're going to be getting after it. So the Twitter feed is real for Rally Tal. If you guys want more content, you're going to get way more content on Twitter than you will on Facebook or YouTube. That thing is popping off on the daily. I think I get like maybe 25, 30 notifications a day, like just for our Twitter. So if you guys like constant notifications, constant feedback, you want to stay in the loop, go check us out there. We are constantly talking sports, whether it's football, baseball, basketball, soccer, it doesn't matter. It's all there. So Ted said he agrees with that. Todd, I mean, you made some great points there. I don't see anybody really arguing with that. So, Todd, outside of Saturday, I know what we're doing Saturday. Todd and I are getting together on Saturday. We're going to be watching the Ohio State game at 7:30. against our better will.
Can we say that we're watching the Notre Dame game instead? I'll sleep better tonight if you say that.
We're in Columbus. We have to say Ohio State. You know that.
I know. It's
Be real with me. We're in Columbus, Ohio. We are watching the Ohio State game at Todd's Place on Saturday. And then we have our personal fantasy football draft, my brother's league, which for those of you who don't know, that league is absolutely insane.
Bananas.
It is different than any other league that you've probably ever signed up for. There's two offensive player positions, which means you can start 3 quarterbacks. It's wild.
Wild. Don't prepare for shit because you just draft quarterbacks in the first 4 rounds.
I haven't done any mocks. I haven't because like mock drafts in his league don't fucking matter because nobody else drafts like that. So like I have the 10th pick, so I have the last pick in the league. So I kind of have to just see where the cards fall and make my decisions on the spot. So I've kind of got an idea of what I want going in, but obviously that could all completely change, with the first 9 picks, and we're just going to go from there. So I'm interested to see how Corey and Aaron's draft is ending up today. It's 10 o'clock. They're about an hour in at this point. So we're going to have those results here soon, and we're going to have, hopefully they're going to take pictures of their teams and post it because I want to see that shit. And we'll go from there. So for those of you that play fantasy, if you've already drafted, please message us your teams. We want that feedback. We want to see who you guys got and how it's going to work out. So
love it. It's the best time of the year, ladies and gentlemen.
Man,
best time of the year football season.
Good. Yeah, because fantasy football season means football is right around the corner, and then with fantasy football season right around the corner, that means you got NBA basketball coming on. It's just a great. That means sports are back in full swing. Not that other sports aren't, baseball and hockey like that. Not that they don't matter, but baseball and basketball seem to be the roots of what we do here at Rally Towel Sports, and
it's true.
We're all excited for that.
We are.
All right. Well, if anybody doesn't have anything else, we'll wrap it up there. Appreciate everybody swinging out tonight. Thank you for all the comments. 63 comments, 11 reactions, 2 shares. You guys have been amazing this evening. Appreciate everybody coming out. Have a wonderful Labor Day weekend. Be safe.
Be safe.
Make good choices.
Do not drink and drive. Please,
Yeah.
please call it Uber. Call your friends. If you're in the Columbus area, probably don't call Bobby and I. But thank you so much for tuning in tonight.
Bruce,
we love
thank
you guys.
Sir. We appreciate it. And as Miss Christina Walter always said, and she actually gave me a little keychain, and it said, "Make good choices. Make good choices." I got that in high school. If that tells you anything about who I am as a human. Make good choices. Have a wonderful weekend. We will see you guys next Wednesday for our AFC over-unders. All 4 of the boys will be present. It is going to be a banger of a show. Make sure you tune in. We love you guys. Have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you then.